Good morning, everyone. This is Patrick Lee, and it's time for Midweek Motivation Live. We're going to be talking about a new topic today, maybe a new term you've never heard about, mixing life and leisure. Let's talk about Bleisure. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes right after this. Good morning. I hope everyone is doing all right today. This is Patrick Lee, your host down at Tower One, the downtown tower, First Bank Southwest Tower, 18th floor, Studio One, we call it. My office, my home away from home, and place of inner solitude. This is my real estate office. It is in the tower. It is downtown. It's awesome. I'm gonna turn this camera around real fast, and you see, give you all an idea of what I get to look at every day. Here we are. We're looking at downtown Amarillo, Texas. Look at that horizon out there. It's so flat. We say that Amarillo is so flat you can watch your dog run away for 2 days. That's some pretty flat land. And we live in the area. We have cities around here called Plainview and cities called Level Land, cities called No Trees. And that's because that happens a lot in this part of Texas, in the South Midwest. It's all good, man. I love it here. I've got a great view of the whole western half of the city from the 18th floor here in my studio in my office. I love that. That's where where most of the time we broadcast Midweek Motivation Live from. I do in the past. I've done a lot of location shots. We've done some state parks, some historical places, the rooftops of buildings, different places of interest. We've done the show from so many different locations. I've done it from the Pacific Ocean on the West Coast to Dallas, Texas, to Las Vegas, Nevada. For the most part, we shoot most of the shows here in Studio One, 18th floor of the First Bank Southwest Tower at the home offices of Patrick Lee Group Real Estate Company. And I get personal silence for about the hour before and during the show, and then the team comes in and we all start working on the day's events that we need to work on in the office. But it's something I want to talk to you about today. I'm mixing. I put sort of a bait title out there: business, leisure, or bleisure. And someone might say, what in the world is bleisure, Patrick Lee? You're throwing me a curve today. What in the heck is that? Bleisure is a mashup term that is becoming popular in business circles. I'm a subscriber. I actually get an issue of Success Magazine. EXP Realty, the company I work with, owns that magazine. Success Magazine, Success Coaching, Success Incorporated. And I've been reading. I read that, of course, every time it comes out, and have been to some great events. And recently, EXPCon with Nick Santonastasso was one of the keynote speakers. Many great speakers, and he is a success coach and speaker through our company, as are many other people. Trent Shelton, a lot of others that you have heard of. But this topic, this term, is starting to be used a little bit more commonplace post COVID. I'm not claiming that COVID is over. In my life, it's over, but it still affects people in my life. I have a relative right now on my wife's side who is in the hospital, battling COVID again for the fourth time in the last year and a half. And it's very frustrating. So some people are still being affected by COVID. The government is saying on the West Coast and the East Coast, people need to mask back up because of the threat of COVID. But what we're also seeing across the country is the resurgence of the flu, influenza, colds, winter colds, strep throat, pneumonia, things that are going around just like they did pre-COVID. And now they're all of a sudden they're back after being mistakenly gone for 2 years. But let's not get off topic. So post COVID, basically most of us here in Amarillo, Texas, you seldom see a person wearing a mask. There are some, but we are experiencing the highest levels of health and people that have recovered from COVID. So it's in some of the larger cities. Maybe you'll see more people wearing masks. And if you feel like you should wear a mask, that's your choice. This is America. Feel mask up if you want to mask up. If you feel like it helps you, and the benefits outweigh the consequences of wearing a mask, mask up. Don't ask me to mask up if it's just for your personal preference, because my personal preference is not to. Hope I'm not running anyone off the show. Maybe I'm attracting people to the show. But this term, hey, lest I digress, let's jump into this topic. What is bleisure? And it's a mashup of business and leisure life. Maybe you are feeling like you have a hard time creating work-life balance, and we've talked about that before in the past. I don't believe that balance is actually attainable, a perfect business and work-life balance. And bleisure is one of the terms that has been used to sort of mash up the two. Business life is business life. Your leisure life, your family life is your leisure family life. Maybe some of you that are watching the show today would say, I don't feel like I have any sort of balance. I think that everything I do is either I am all about the hustle and the grind. I'm young. I'm trying to make mine before anyone else makes theirs. And if I don't do it now, I'm behind the game. Um, I'm nowhere near the finish line in life. I'm just starting my race, and I've got to hustle, 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 grind, 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 or I am going to get left behind in life. And then some of you are, I just recently turned 59, and you would say, well, that's easy for you to say, Patrick. You're 59. You've been at the grind for, 40 years. And then I would turn around and say, no, I've been at the grind about 49 years, because I started the grind when I was about 10 and started finding ways to make money for myself. I have always been a go-getter after it, trying to make money. And I would go out and walk the neighbor's dog. Skippy actually was the dog's name. And Mrs. Oldham lived right around the corner from us in Bandon, Oregon. Ruth Oldham. How did that name just ring a bell? It was my first job. Ruth Oldham had a little black dog named Skippy, and Skippy needed walked. And Ruth was a shut-in and didn't seem to have any family, no kids or grandkids that lived in the town that ever came to see her. And I took a liking to this elderly lady, and I would walk her dog a couple of times a week. And I would usually make 50 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, every now and then $1. And I would save that money to buy, sodas and comic books, maybe some penny candy, nickel candy down at the store. And that job turned into lawn mowing jobs, which turned into odd jobs until I started at 13 and 14. I started going out and getting jobs of my own. So I've been on the hustle. I started working illegally without a work permit or a social security card. For some reason, my parents neglected to sign me up for social security card when I was young. But I had a couple of jobs, and they had to let me go because they couldn't pay me under the table anymore. I washed dishes in restaurants and started waiting on tables and doing different things, and had to go out and get a social security card and a work permit to work underage. And then the popular place to work in my hometown, if you're a teenager, was McKay's Market, the local supermarket. And a couple of my friends went to work at Buck Century Market. So I've been on the hustle and the grind since I was about 10 years old. And at 59, I'm not telling you it's time to slow down. As a matter of fact, I am picking up momentum. And to share some of these things with you this year, 2020, 2021, 2022, the COVID years, and now as we are coming through post-COVID, have been the best years of my life. Business-wise, I started my company, Patrick Lee Group, a real estate group, early in 2020. So it's been a couple of years already. I'm going on my third year here in just a couple of months. I'll be going into my third year, And real estate has been a remarkable journey for me. I've been doing this 9 years. I decided to get into real estate, totally changed careers, 180-degree change in direction when I was turning 50. So I had already been through numerous careers, over 20 years in food service, 10 to 15 years in sales, outside sales, and commission sales. I liked being in control of how much money I could make. And if a company offered me a commission on a sale, then I could turn around and be in charge to some degree of how much money I could make because I was going for that sale. I've had route sales. I've been involved in furniture sales and other sales. Would never stoop so low as to be a car salesman. It's just a joke. Ha ha ha. Some of my best friends are car salesmen. I'm just kidding. And I've been told for years, you ought to go sell used cars. You should sell, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. And I'm like, no, but I did determine at years ago that if I can create a business and I can sell, then to be successful and to make more money, I need to sell things that cost more money. And that, brought me back to my lifelong dream of getting into real estate. So if you can sell, a piece of furniture for $1,000, why can't you sell a home for $300,000, right? Raise your hand if that makes sense to you, if you can see where I'm going with this. But as you get on the grind, as you get on the hustle and you start riding that pony, moving forward, many of you say it's hard for you to come to a work-life balance. So as I started learning more about myself and life and business and realizing that I am not 29 anymore, I'm now 59, that I was told years previously when I was a baker, I used to weigh about 130 pounds when I got married. And in the bakeries, flour and sugar and donut mix, cake mix, glaze, everything comes in a 50-pound sack or a 50-pound bucket or a 100-pound sack. And I used to carry these on my shoulders through the store from the warehouse up to the bakery, as opposed to finding a cart and, asserting myself in front of the bigger people, the people that had been around longer than I had. I need the cart. I need to do this. I didn't want to appear weak. So I would carry these things on my own back, on my own shoulders. And everyone told me, the older guys said, work smarter, not harder. So then when I got into real estate and I started carrying the load of business on my own shoulders, if it's to be, it's up to me. That's the common term in business. If it's to be, it's up to me. You cannot rely on anyone else for your success. If you want to be successful, it's up to you. So you get on the hustle, you get on the grind, and you start working and burning the candle at both ends. And you realize quickly that working smarter, not harder, is going to cause you to start to rely on other people. So I wanted to have a life. I started reading the books. I started going to the seminars. I started, listening to the podcast of people that talk about how to enrich your life. And this term has been birthed out of that. The lack of work-life balance has caused people to come to grips with the fact that after COVID, one of the great things that COVID taught us was we don't have to show up for the office job anymore. We are so resourceful as Americans, as a people, with a mind to think for ourselves, that we can come up with new and creative ways to do life, new and creative ways to create income. I went to the Amarillo Association of Realtors luncheon yesterday, and we had a wonderful presentation. It's a yearly presentation from the economics professor at WT. And she shared a stat yesterday that talked about the unemployment rate in America. Jim Steeden says your pay raise becomes effective when you do. Wow, Jim, that goes on the screen. That's a great comment. Your pay raise becomes effective when you do. I love that. It's true. The effectiveness of you is going to determine the rate of income that hits your bank account on a regular basis. So, what I learned from this stat at this speech yesterday about the economy is that the number one group of people who did not return to the workforce after COVID caused such an incredible spike in unemployment. Businesses shut down, people fired all of their employees, many businesses went out of business. If they didn't shut down altogether, they totally streamlined. Many businesses went online. Uber Eats, things like that, DoorDash, delivery started to increase. Restaurants didn't have their dining rooms open. Everything was takeout only or delivery only. And many of my friends and fellow workers actually learned how to thrive in that market. It was a new market, but so many people lost their jobs. And now that most of our companies and businesses that survived opened their doors back up and they started hiring people back, the largest group of people who did not return to the workforce are men over the age of 55. Hello. I can raise my hand to that. I am a man over the age of 55. And I believe, and many people believe, that the reason for that is so many of those people said, I don't need to go to put on the suit and tie, show back up at the office Monday through Friday or Saturday from 8 to 6 and jump through hoops trying to make money to pay my bills. I can do other things to make money. The growth of online businesses has skyrocketed. Stores like Etsy stores, people have a shop. People have bought homes and turned them into Airbnbs. They are doing Uber driving or Lyft driving. They're doing rideshare. I have friends that have purchased cars and they have a car. It's like an auto B&B. I don't remember the term for it right now, but you can buy a car and then rent the car out like an Airbnb. People can just come and pick up your car. It's like a car rental place, but it's your car. It's not Enterprise or Hertz or one of those or Avis. It's your car and you can rent out that car just like an Airbnb. It's like a car B&B. What a great idea. People are doing numerous things to make more money. So what they have done is they have combined business and leisure and they've turned it into Bleisure. People have been actually involved in Bleisure for many, many years in the business world, and that has been business trips. If you plan a family vacation, but you can turn that vacation into a business trip through the growth of your company, the promotion of your company, the appointments that you set at your vacation destination can actually turn that trip into a business investment, and your leisure trip becomes Bleisure. Learning to become a writer, you may be able to take your writing on the road, and you may want to write about unique locations, maybe state parks or traveling across America, and you rent an RV or buy an RV and you start traveling everywhere you can find cell phone service or internet or Wi-Fi. You can upload stories, things that you write. You may start a podcast. You may become a blogger. And all of a sudden, leisure becomes Bleisure. Your business trips, you will also learn how to incorporate fun and downtime and realize that maybe your life could change if you learned to change your life. What kind of schedule are you trying to keep up with? Does it fit the life that you imagined for yourself? I've gone to a lot of seminars and I've had a lot of coaching, and the people teach you how to plan your calendar. You have to put so many things into your calendar. You can't have white spaces. How many of you have ever heard that? No white spaces on your calendar. You need to color code everything, and you need to start putting in your family things first, your non-negotiables, the things that are important to you, family time, dates with your spouse, alone time with, or one-on-one time with your children. just you and the kids together, just you and your kids individually. And then you start putting in your times to visit your houses of worship, time for prayer, faith, motivation, self-development. You need to schedule those in. Then your work times as well, you need to schedule in. And if you have white space, you need to define that white space. Maybe you put in a light blue for all of your hours when you're supposed to be asleep, and you call that sleepy time. Whatever it is, they teach you that your calendar has to be completely full, but it needs to be dictated a lot by your business. Well, does that calendar, when you look at your calendar, that schedule you've created, is that schedule a lifestyle that you imagined you would have? Or a better way to ask that is that calendar actually reflective of the lifestyle that you would like to have? And if it's not, ask yourself why. If you could plan your ideal schedule, what would that look like? How much leisure time would be included in your business time? And if you could find a way to incorporate leisure, family, enjoyment into your business, would that be attractive to you? You may be, if it is, you may be a supreme candidate for a life of bleisure. I've shared this before in the past, and it's one of the things that motivated me. I had a boss years ago when I took this one job, a route sales job. And this boss going down the road one day said, "Well, Patrick, there are two kinds of people in life. There are hustlers and strollers. And I think that you're a stroller, but I believe that your strolling lifestyle can make you a nice income if you'll learn how to mix that with your hustle on this job." And actually, the first month I had that job, I outsold him, and my percentage check for the following month was larger than any he had ever made as a hustler. So I take that as a testament to myself that I've actually started learning how to combine my business and leisure. When I worked for a previous brokerage, one of the trainings they taught there was called bold training, and the breakdown of those letters, BOLD, is your business objective is a life by design. And they wanted to teach you that you can design your life instead of living a life by default. And by default, I simply mean that many times we live the life that our career has chosen for us, that our family has chosen for us, that the direction we have chosen to go, the decisions we have made, have caused us to just live the life that is the default life. We were taught as children in the 70s and 80s that the only way to get ahead in life is to get a good education, go get a good job, work your 40 to 50 hours a week. And in about 40 years, you can retire. And at that time, you may or may not have some kind of a retirement income, but hopefully you can count on Social Security because you have 40 years worth of payments into Social Security and Medicare to pay for your life. And I quickly learned shortly after high school, finished high school in 1981, and started developing some of these avenues into self-development and independent thinking, that those ideas were already antiquated. And going out and getting that factory job, the company job, working 40, 50 hours a week, those jobs didn't exist anymore. And if they did, the retirements that were promised went away. My wife had her grandfather died at a younger age of a heart attack shortly after we married. And he worked for the plant for 40 years. And when he retired, he had some IRAs and CDs, but they gave him, he had a retirement from the company that was very small, and they gave him a clock. And it was an expensive clock, and it had the really nice chime. There's a name for it. Westminster chime, I think, is the name of the chime. And this clock is a mantle clock, and it was an expensive clock at the time. And that was his retirement gift for putting in almost 40 years working for the company, was a clock, to tell him that they would give you a gold watch, right? A pocket watch, a nice watch, a clock. And it's to remind you of the time you spent working for that company. But unfortunately, I believe that that's a reminder of the amount of time wasted working for that kind of a career, that kind of a job that doesn't provide you any kind of a lifestyle that you want when you reach those years. You turn 65, now 67, maybe 70. What do you have to show for the life you have lived? Has your calendar caused you to live a life that has grown your life to where when you hit those ages, you're actually able to do the things in life that you want to do? Or if that's not the case, why do you need to wait till you're 65 or 70 before you start living a life you want to live when you can do it now? Learn to combine business and leisure. Let your life turn into something that can create income for you, provision for you, and also allow you to enjoy and live an enriched and fulfilled life. A fulfilled life. Yes, Frank, thank you. Don't live a default life. Live bold according to your God-given purpose. That's it. If we are not being fulfilled, if we are not doing the things in life that we are called to do, wouldn't it make sense for us to create a new calendar? I almost want to just tell you I just almost want to say out loud, throw your calendar away and start over. Scrub it, scratch it, delete it, start over. If your calendar isn't helping you create the life you want to live, burn it, throw it away, start over, create a new calendar, think a new thought. You know, Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, 12:8, 8:12, maybe there's a verse in there that says, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, seek out knowledge of witty inventions. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Pastor Frank, some of you watching. But yeah, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and seek out knowledge of witty inventions. I believe that God's going to give us a knowledge of witty inventions. He's going to give us a book to write. He's going to give us a new business model, a new business idea, something we can use that will add to our lifestyle, that will enrich our lives and the lives of those around us, the people that are looking to us, that trust in us, our spouses, our children, our parents. Right now, I'm calling it the Oreo cookie generation, to where we are caring for our children who are adults as well as caring for our parents who are elderly. It used to be different. It used to be different. And now this generation that I happen to be a part of is like this Oreo cookie generation. Cody says, yes, perfect time to start a new calendar. January 1st is right around the corner. Amen, brother. That's the show today. Bleisure, what is it? Is it work-life balance? Is that really a thing? Can you achieve work-life balance? I think that we have said, yes, 8:12. Thank you. I thought that's what that was. I wasn't sure. Can we achieve work-life balance? What if it's not balance? What if it's a work-life combination, to where we start doing the things that we want to do that enrich our lives and those around about us, and we learn how to monetize that and use that as an income? Jesus shared the parables. There's the parable in the Old Testament and the New Testament, but the parables of the talents, the parables of the money that were given by the master to three different servants. And some of those servants doubled it, the larger amount. They doubled it when the master came back. They showed the increase to the master, who told him, good and faithful servant, you have done great. The next one was given a smaller amount, but was still able to double that in the marketplace. And the third servant took what was given to him and he buried it. And he just held on to it, which to the average business person or American citizen would say, hey, I didn't lose anything. I've got an investment. I've got some money. It was entrusted to me. It's sitting in the bank. And it may be a savings account. And that savings account isn't gaining you anything but maybe 0.12% a year, if that. But if you have just put that away or stuck that money in a mattress, it's not gaining anything. Is it really a benefit to you? It's just a hoarding thing. But the premise behind that, the message behind that story, was the master said, "You're a slothful. You're wicked and lazy. You did nothing with what I gave you to increase it." And it's all about increase in life. So if you would have just taken that money and invested it in something that would cause it to grow, I would have still probably called you a good servant, taken the growth and said thank you. But instead, he took what was hoarded and held on to and gave it to the people that knew how to increase it. So doesn't it bear witness or make sense to you that if you have an idea of an invention, a talent, something that you can use to cause increase, that you can combine that into your calendar to cause provision to come into your household, your storehouse? Then you get into all of the other concepts that come along with that, into tithing, giving, sowing, saving, living, blessing, offerings, alms. All of that becomes a part of it. But take what you have been given and learn how to monetize that to create increase in your life, combining business with leisure. And at that point, you'll have created a life that you like to live. I think you'll live longer. I think you'll be more fulfilled, and the people around you will see more peace in your life, and you will exude that life of blessing. Like I said, these last few years since I've started my business have been the best I've ever experienced. 2022 has been the most incredible business year I've ever had. I've made the most increase I've ever made in my life. God has blessed my business, those on my team, those that have chosen to work with me, and which has allowed me to grow in giving to my friends and to my house of worship and enriching the lives of those around me. And while it's been an incredible year, at the same time, everything that has come in has gone back out into the business, into other people, into investments to cause increase in the future. And I have decided, and I have determined, and while I've been researching this, I've actually realized that bleisure is becoming a word that fits me. My life is more peaceful. I am responsible for the financial input of a lot of things now that I have taken on, that I'm going to learn how to balance in the future. But God has blessed me to be a blessing, and there are many people now that I'm responsible for taking care of. But I have also learned that I don't have to stress all day, that my work life is melded into my leisure life, that I can have fun with family and friends, and the things that I do continue to bring increase into my life. And by developing relationships in my leisure and my business, my bleisure becomes my business. And maybe that's something for you too. Might be something to think about. Thank you, guys. This has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live. I hope this has been a help for you today. I truly do. Your bonus tip today: life can't be all about the hustle and grind. Remember this: courage begins at the end of your comfort zone. I challenge you to get uncomfortable. Be courageous. Get out there. Maybe this is the year that you tear up your calendar and you plan a new one. Maybe write a new calendar that fits the life that you want to live, not the one that was just handed to you. Hey guys, I love you. Until next time, I'll see you again. Bye-bye.